Blog Talk Radio. Welcome to the Aha Moments Radio Show for the inspiration, education, and celebration of enlightened living worldwide with your host, Mariana Cooper, founder of Aha Moments International and AhaMomentsWorld.com. Tune in for the next hour and learn to trust your aha moments to lead the way to live a passionate and purposeful life. And now here's your host, Mari.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Aha Moments Radio Show for the inspiration, education, and celebration of enlightened living worldwide. I'm Mari, and happy Tuesday. We have a full moon, I believe, tonight. Yeah, tonight. So lots of good energy. Put your crystals outside. Let them catch the rays of the moon, and you can do some moonwalking yourself and catch some rays yourself. And let's see, we have our Summit by the Sea retreat coming up. It's a little over a month away, so I guess I have to get cracking on all the details for that. And if we have one spot, so if you are interested in making our last spot happen, jumping on the last spot, please email me at support@ahamomentsinc.com, and I will send you information on that. It's going to be absolutely amazing. We have some really great stuff planned, and we'll be working on the cliffs of La Jolla and right by the ocean, and the people who are already booked to come are amazing folks. So we'll be meeting lots of good people of like mind, and it's going to be great. So we'll give you some details if you want to write to support@ahamomentsinc.com. And then also I will probably be teaching a group class, a group master class called Second Chances with Your Parallel Realities, and it's all about using the multidimensional manifesting and parallel realities to give yourself opportunities for second chances in your life. So if it's with relationships or career or finding your passion or, a lot of times in things in our lives that we feel like we just missed or we just never got an opportunity, or an opportunity came and went, or we just an outcome just didn't come to fruition for ourselves, or we feel like we have a personal score to settle with something in our lives that we'd like another opportunity at, and you can have those opportunities come to you in multiple fashion and much better than it ever was before with some deliberate focus and thought. So we're going to talk about that. It'll probably be, I won't say the last course of the year for sure, but it'll definitely, I'm going to be teaching it just one time because it's a specialty course. So keep an eye on your inbox for that. Hopefully I'll have that out before the end of the week. All right. So today's topic is patience. And it was kind of inspired by a conversation I was having with a client the other day. And she was saying to me, and she's wonderful, one of my favorite clients, and one of the things about her is that she's extraordinarily diligent and dutiful and focused, and she's a perfectionist. And one of the things she said to me is, I've been doing my alignment sessions, I'm doing these different things, and I've been patiently waiting, and I know I'm supposed to have more patience, but I'm getting impatient for, the outcomes in this one, whatever. And I said, well, no, you're not supposed to have patience. Patience in the world of multidimensional manifesting can really actually get in your way. Patience is a holding energy. It's like holding your breath, folding your hands like you did at the dinner table as a child, and you're hungry and you want to bang your fork and knife on the table, but your parents say, be patient and fold your hands, and you sit up straight and you wait politely at the table for your dinner to be served, and then, the dinner or dessert or whatever it is that you want to be served. Or you go to the little kids' parties and everybody's told, fold your hands and wait patiently, and you're just waiting for something to be bestowed upon you. So essentially when a parent told us as children to be patient, it means they meant to be still and to stop motion, right? To stop forward motion, to stop wanting, yearning, desiring, just sit and wait. And waiting is also an activity, but it's an activity that on a frequency level kind of works backwards. Frequency never goes, it never stops. So when we talk about working with our frequency and focusing on that as our primary objective as opposed to focusing on other things, on our physical world and all our mental minds, what we're talking about is movement. We're talking about frequency always is in motion. Okay, and it's subatomic particles, our quantum grid field that we're talking about all the time, even our big ball of energy that's our higher self, and even the energy that's within our bodies, and even every cell in our bodies, thing is always in constant motion, even if you're sitting still. Every subatomic particle is moving, and it's reacting to thought and to influence, okay, and intention. So to say be patient, to say be still, in this context, is to say stop motion and hold your breath and wait. And that puts us into, on a frequency level, puts us into what I call a purgatory parallel. It puts us into a parallel where we're in a state of waiting instead of a state of allowance, of a state of receiving, and a state of generative energy or creative energy. We're waiting. We're on hold. And it's kind of a false idea when it comes to frequency, because either your frequency is going forward or it's going backwards. It's not staying the same. It's always resonating with something. So if you're in a state of patience, and quote unquote, and you're trying to be obedient to the idea of patience, then you can be actually commanding the frequency, because you're not in the state of active motion forward. Now, active motion forward does not mean staying gripped, attached, trying to push things, doing stuff. It means that instead of patience, what we want to have is an active state of allowance. So, are you necessarily taking specific actions? No. There are times when you want to be in a state of allowance. It's different than patience. Patience, you can always almost feel the backwards momentum of that energy. When you say allowance, it's like I'm allowing it in. It's like if you go to a fence, white picket fence, and let's say your dog got out, and the dog is on the wrong side of the fence. You're on the inside of the fence near your house, and the dog is on the outside of the sidewalk trying to get back into his yard. You're going to open the gate and allow him in. You're going to allow him in. So you open the gate. But you don't come in and he wants to come in, so you don't need to grab him and shove him in the gate, right? He's coming in with his own steam, his own engine, and you open the gate and he runs right in the gate. That's an active state of allowance. You're opening the gate, meaning the gateway is open. You're in receptivity mode. You see motion. You expect motion because this animal is saying, "I want to get back in my house. I'm scared. I don't like being outside of the fence," and you open the gate and it scoots right in. Okay? So this is very different than patience. And when it comes to your manifesting projects, a lot of times patience is also looked at as resignation. Resignation to what we've seen happen in the past. We have a tendency to look over to other people and see what happened for them. We do reviews and whatnot. We try to sort out, okay, well, if this happened for this person, then what will happen for me? That might, more than likely that'll happen for me too, and this type of thing. And so it really, really puts you in a parallel where stuff never comes to fruition. You're always in that patience mode. Now, another word that gets in the way, pursuing. Okay, being in pursuit of something. When we're in school, so now we're going to grow up a little bit. We're going from sitting patiently, waiting at the dinner table for our bowl of ice cream for dessert as a child, and we're going to move into a teenager or a college student when we all start to get pat on the head for the word pursuing. What do I mean by that? there's a transition point in our adolescence where we start to there's an expectation. You know, it starts off with, what do you want to be when you grow up? What do you want to be when you grow up? And then as you get closer and closer to college and then on into college, you start to hear, what career are you pursuing? Like, there is no expectation that you should have a career already because you're too young and you don't have experience yet. But the glory comes in your pursuit, right? So the pursuing energy is it's chasing down this big idea that's off in the distance, off in the future. Just the idea that you're in a pursuit of something, and if it sounds admirable, gets you the reward of high recognition. Oh, he's pursuing being a neurosurgeon. Oh, she's pursuing, being a scientist. Or he's pursuing, ice skating in the Olympics. Oh, this one's pursuing a career on Wall Street. And depending on your age, if you're young enough, the idea of pursuing is rewarded, right? These people are just a pat on the head. Oh, my gosh, she's pursuing her career. Oh, she works so hard. She's so diligent in her pursuit of this career. Oh, and everything is based on potential, right? So you start to get highly rewarded for the pursuit. Well, in the world of parallel realities, multidimensional manifesting, frequency, energy, space, and consciousness, pursuing really isn't a good idea. Because then you stay, if your focus is on the actions of pursuit, it's not on the action of receiving. It's in the energy is being spent on the churning of the wheel, not on getting to that destination, allowing it in. So you want to take the word pursuit, out of your vocabulary in this regard, because you don't want to be holding yourself in this constant treadmill type of experience. And people very subtly, between the patience part and the pursuing part, it can keep you locked up in a non-receiving zone for long enough that you start to get discouraged, and then you really start to send your frequency backwards, because now you have an expectation that it won't work, that it's not working. And then you call me for a session, and, oh, Mari, it's not working. Why isn't it working? Well, I was patiently waiting. I did my things that you said. I'm pursuing, pursuing getting a new car, and I was patiently waiting for it, and then I was down here, and now this doesn't work for me. And you're doing all the wrong things. Patience and pursuit. You're keeping yourself. You're telling the energy, hold it at bay. If you say, okay, I already own the car, I'm just allowing the frequency to load in, and I have an active state of allowance of that frequency loading in, then there's a very different energy. There's no patience involved. There's no pursuit involved, because there's an expectation, because you already have it. You've already connected with that parallel. You've remote viewed that parallel. In that parallel, you're living that parallel. You're just at the earlier point in the parallel where you don't have the physical car just yet, but it's loading in. So what are you doing? You're in an active state of allowance. When you're in an active state of allowance, what that means is that you're listening. That's not patience. It's listening. You're listening to your intuition. You're listening. This is why it's so important to be fluent in the language of your intuition. You're taking inspired action as you get hits to do so, intuitive, head nods to do so. You're following the breadcrumbs, the energetic breadcrumbs that are coming your way. You're paying attention to signs, symbols, synchronicities. You are paying attention to your body, how your body feels. Whether you're feeling a sense of lightness, or you're feeling a sense of expansiveness, or you're feeling a sense of allow for now. So your energy will never say be patient, but your energy will say just allow for now. Just allow for now. Okay? As opposed to be patient. It's much more active. It's much more hopeful. It's much more expectant, right? There's a lift. And that's what you want. You want to always keep your energy, recognize that your energy is always in a vibratory movement, okay? Now, it may seem like it's treading water because there's certain things loading in. Let's think about this. if it's treading water, if the frequency is kind of treading water, which it really isn't, if something's loading in, you think of it as like a dot, right? Let's say just like a little particle, one particle. And then what loading in is another particle comes and attaches to the first one and another one, and it's configuring. Now, how is it configuring? It's configuring based on the blueprint that you have with your intention and what you're holding up. We talk about this every week. So as you hold up new car to that grid, you say, I feel it, I'm in it, I'm in an active state of allowance, I'm allowing it in, the frequency is coming. When you start to get a little impatient, start to get worried and anxious, which is also sending you backwards in the frequency. That worried, anxious, impatient, doubtful, comparing and competing with other people, asking, over and over again, is this going to happen, is this going to happen, oh my God, is this going to happen, is this going to happen? All of that is setting the frequency backwards. It's not treading water, it's sending it backwards. That means you've taken your progress off the rails and sent it backwards. I've been in doubt. Oh gosh, I got to do another alignment session. You got to find something. You get some sort of sign or something. You say, okay. And then all of a sudden you send the energy forward. So then you start getting more signs of positive. And then you start sending the energy backwards because somebody says something critical and you start to doubt it. And then you start to look for everybody else's approval. That's another thing that can send the frequency backwards. You see what happens and you go back and forth. So it's gas, brake, gas, brake, gas, brake. What happens when you do that in the car? It just lurches along, right? So that's what most people are doing to their frequency all day long. They're being reactive. They're looking at their circumstances. They're evaluating their life from the circumstances that they see. They're reacting. And so there's nothing that's predictable in their lives energetically, and they don't have a whole lot of hope energetically because they feel victimized by these things on high. And they start to get what we call superstitious. If I don't do this, then that will happen. If I do this, then this could happen. They get superstitious. There is a big difference between superstition and intuition. Two totally different things. Okay? Two totally different things. Superstition comes from a backwards frequency of a disempowered frequency of things can happen to me from a victim's perspective. Intuition is an actual language that swings between the physical and the non-physical beings, your physical and non-physical selves. Okay, and it's the only language that can be initiated from both sides of the veil. Meaning you can initiate it from the physical side and it is received on the energetic side. You can initiate it energetically, and it can be initiated energetically and sent to you in the physical. Then when that happens, it feels like an aha moment, right? When your consciousness and you're in the non-physical connect, and your consciousness actually picks up on it in your mental mind, it feels like an aha moment. Okay, so that's what that is, And so superstition versus intuition. You want to be very careful. It's funny, in the last week, I have had 4 people call me and say, do you think I have a curse on me? Oh, do you think somebody put a curse on me? I think somebody put a curse on me. Can you help me to get a curse off? And it tells me exactly where they're at in the spiritual development, which is extremely primitive thinking in the sense of how things actually work. However, surround yourself in white light, send it on its merry way. However, what it really says is that people feel like things are happening to them. They're reading out their circumstances, and their circumstances aren't looking the way they want them to look. One person said, it's because my car broke down, and then I had another car, and it broke down too, and then I had a flat tire, and then a bill came in I couldn't pay, and then my boss started yelling at me, and there must be something's happening to me. Either somebody put a curse on me. Somebody told me that, that somebody gave me the evil eye, and that's why all these bad things are happening. No, you gave yourself the evil eye by focusing only on the negative things, and then the frequency, you're so entrenched, and then you're victimizing yourself, so the frequency is just responding. One of the best analogies that I channeled earlier this week, and I just started laughing. It's a really, really good one. For those of you on social media, I think if you're listening to Blog Talk, you're probably on Facebook. when you're on Facebook or Google or YouTube or any of these things, you know how they have the algorithm so that whatever you click on, you start to see more of. So when I was like all enraged over the election, it was just constant, like every single article in the feed was about that election or Trump or whatever. And I finally decided, I can't take it anymore. I don't need to repost these things. Everybody else is seeing it anyway. And I need a break. So then, I decided to start clicking on the goat videos again and the pig videos and the recipes and little inventions and all that kind of thing. And the funny videos. And then all of a sudden, my feed changed so quickly to more goat videos. Like clicked on one goat video and then another one came up. And then I clicked on that and then a pig one came up. And I clicked on that and then a dog one came up. And then the animal shelters start coming up. And, because there's an algorithm that's going on where whatever you click on, whatever you focus on, you get more of on Facebook. Well, guess what? The energetic grid works the same exact way. So if you are like on a tear one day because there's just something that this administration does that, you can ignore a lot of it, but there's that one thing. They're killing the grizzly bears, or they're killing the EPA, or they're dumping, or it's the pipelines, and who knows what, Russia, whatever it is, you decide that one day that thing really, I have to comment on that. I just have to share that. All of a sudden, you get it's reinforced by another thing coming up, and then another thing coming up, and it's all kind of in the category, and it gets very finely tuned. I happen to be a marketer, and there are actually Facebook puts out a specific piece of it's like a little piece of code that people can put on their websites, the advertising can put on their websites, and so that whenever you click on, whatever you click on will come out in the advertising. It'll align with the advertising feed, and that feed will start to show you things that you just clicked on Amazon, et cetera. And it's all crisscrossing, right? They're all in cahoots with each other. So, and a lot of money is being made, and a lot of conversion being, from a lead to a sale. Because if they keep, you look at a pair of slacks on Nordstrom.com, and then you look at the same pair of slacks on Amazon, and then you get on Facebook, and all of a sudden you see those slacks coming up, and then you get on random sites that have advertising, and all of a sudden that same pair of slacks for the price, the sale price, and they keep reminding you that a lot of people go in and buy because they're constantly being like, yeah, I really do want those slacks, don't I? Oh, yeah, there's this constant reminder. It's awful when you look at something that you really don't want, and you're looking for somebody else, for instance, all of a sudden, like I think I looked up American Girl dolls once for my niece, and oh God, everything was American Girl dolls for a week. It was ridiculous. So it works and it doesn't. But the point is, for us, is that whatever you focus on, just like a Facebook algorithm, you're going to see a lot more of, and it's that sensitive. One thought will bring another of like thought, and another, and another. And another. So, with that being said, wouldn't it make sense to deliberately think thoughts that you want to see happen? Right? The other day, I was talking to a friend, and she drove me crazy. She's driving me crazy. And she's really out of integrity with some things she's doing, and it's really bothering me. There's this really big thing about that. And I was really on a tear in my head because there's just a lot of history there and stuff. I was really on a tear in my head and in my heart, and I just kept thinking about it. They have in the shower, I'm thinking about it, and driving around thinking about it. And, I could just see things were they weren't bad. Things weren't going bad because I have, pretty entrenched high frequency because I work on it all the time. But I did notice a little, a few little blips here and there. I said, Mara, you really do have a choice. You don't have to think like this. You can just say, that's her bubble, that's her world, leave it alone, step away from it, and focus. Let's focus on all the good things that are happening. Let's focus on all the new projects, all the new things. And I did. I just changed over I changed everything over to a totally different, to higher vibrational thought. All of a sudden, things started to fall into place. I mean, just really amazing things. And small, medium, and large. And because I immediately felt relief, right? So what we're going for, in addition to an active state of allowance, Okay, always remember that you're always moving. There's no treading water in frequency. Either you're going forward or you're going back. There's no, quote, maintaining frequency. Like people say, oh, I feel really good, Mari. How do I maintain it? How do I get to this state just like this? And don't be deceived. There's not one specific one point of frequency that you're getting to. What you're getting to, what you want, is a specific range of frequency. Okay, so it might feel a little bit higher a few minutes, it might feel a little lower, a little higher, it might feel almost very similar, but don't think that because it feels similar that, it's a one dot. It's not a flat line like on a machine when somebody passes away. That's like what frequency would look like if it was just there was no frequency, right? It's like, right? That's not what you're going for, but a lot of people think they are. They're trying to hold on to it. Oh, I feel so happy today. How do I make it feel like this all the time? I hear this on the telephone. I hear people, and I even hear practitioners promise that you're going to be joyful every single day of your life. Well, if you choose to, you can. You can find joy in everything, and that's we've talked about that on past shows. You can choose joy piece by piece by piece, so that you look back at the day and you say, on an overall scale, I was in a joyful range for a good chunk of today. It doesn't mean that you have one specific point of joy, because the joy of, let's say, your cat greeting you in the morning is different than the joy of a client having a breakthrough, which is different than the joy of catching a great sale on zucchini at Whole Foods. They're all joy, right? They're all a lift. They're going in the upward direction, but they're at different levels, right? Because if you really invest in your clients and that client has a major breakthrough, that could feel, and you've been working with them for 9 months on a particular thing, and they finally, from their own engine, had an insight, their aha, where they really came into being with it, it pops, right? Then you have the cat greeting you. That's a lift. It's like a love kind of a joy, right? It's like this, oh, wow, like this visceral connection with another being. So there's different types of joy. So what you're doing is you're looking for a frequency range. Don't get yourself in a mess with the word patient, pursuing, looking for a single solitary state of being that can be maintained all the time, and holding yourself up to standards that just don't exist. A lot of people sell programs promising this. Be careful with that. Be discerning. That's not reality. And even in the nonlinear way, it's not real in nonlinearity. It just doesn't happen. You can get a certain feeling tone and be within a certain narrow range, right? So that your majority of your frequency is kind of hitting in a certain range, but it's still bouncing. Like as I'm speaking, because some words are shaped one way with the mouth and the other, and you use a deeper tone of voice for some words and a higher tone of voice for other, these types of things. If you're looking at an equalizer and looking at how the sound is coming out, it's in ranges. Okay, so this is really giving yourself some permission and to allow things in, because now think about it. You're not trying to hold yourself, holding your breath. Hang on one second. Oh my gosh, there's so much construction going on. And so patience is like holding your breath, right? It's trying to hold a certain frequency. It's like, and I hear people do this all the time. They get on my calls and they do an alignment session or they visualize, and then they wait. They do it like a recipe. Okay, I did this, I did that, I did this, I did that, and then they hold their breath and they're waiting. They're waiting for a result. They're looking for signs, but they're holding their breath because they don't want to get out of the high emotion they're supposed to have to keep it coming in, and they get themselves like a white knuckle on the energy. That unfortunately sends you into a state of backwards momentum and what we call a purgatory parallel. Okay? One of the other things that you can do to sort of slow yourself down, and sometimes people do this to pump themselves up. There are certain people who like to compete with everything, right? And I had a friend like this, and she was like, I always say, you would compete with paint drying on the wall. It's like, everything is about one-upping. It's like, oh, you did that? Oh, okay. Well, I'm going to go off, and then I'm going to come back, and I'm going to do the same, do what you wanted. Like I had one person I had shared a lot of my, different goals and dreams with, and then that person came 6 months later and was like doing all of the things that I want to do. Those were never ever her goals. She even put me down for having those goals. However, she came back. We didn't talk for a long time, and then when she reached out to me, it was like, "Oh, guess what? I'm doing this, this, and this." And I was like, "Wow, those were all my goals. Those weren't her goals." And that was fine because do whatever you want. But there was this emptiness there because it's not really her stuff. It's not really what was intrinsically motivated from her. It was her saying, okay, I'm going to take that and I'm going to beat Mari at her own thing. And so now she's got this whole life that kind of doesn't even make sense because it's not hers. It's not what she'd always longed for and described, and she wanted to do world travel and all that, and now it's like, it's very odd. So, but what it is it's getting your identity from comparing and competing and one-upping and, and all that. And what that does is it gives you maybe some temporary satisfaction, because I'm sure when she said, oh, I did X, Y, Z, and I was like, and I sort of paused, like, oh, that was like what she was waiting for was this big, like, I don't know what she was waiting for, but I was like, oh, that's interesting. And because I am an intuitive and because I do this work full time, I always know somebody's underlying intention, and I always know their level of integrity. No matter what you say, please don't lie to me. Don't lie to me. I always know, always, always, always. I may not let you know that I know, but I always know. And I have this conversation with other professional psychics and stuff. So, most of the time people lie to themselves, because she lied to herself for months doing my whole goal list so she could one up me and compete. But then when I didn't compete back and didn't care and didn't even really respect it, because it was like it wasn't even in it wasn't even in the range or anything. It was like she was pulling on the tug of war rope, but there was nobody pulling on the other end. So then how much fun is that? So now she's kind of lost, trying to figure out what she wants to do again, because it wasn't her goals. So you don't want to take on somebody else's world and then try to top that. That's number one. And it's completely more importantly, out of alignment with who you are and the contributions that you're here to make. Okay? And if you stay in a progressive frequency, and that's what we wanted to, focus on, progressive frequency, that means that you're consciously moving forward or in a state of allowing things to come in so you can continue to move forward. Okay? Remember, being in a state of allowance is still active. Why? Because you're perceiving it as there's motion. It's kind of like when you go to the App Store on iTunes or in your Droid store on Google, and you buy an app, and it says ask for your thumbprint or whatever and your ID, whatever, and then it says open, get, and then it says open, and you click on it and it starts to load in, and you see that little circle going around. As it's loading in, you're, quote, in some circles they would say you're patiently waiting for it to load in, but you're not patiently waiting. You're allowing it to load in before you start pressing buttons. Okay? Because you're allowing it and you're expecting it, because you're watching a frequency load in. Totally different than patiently awaiting. Okay? It's active. You're allowing. You're watching. You're observing. You're not holding your breath, hoping that something from the great beyond is going to drop some kind of thing and bestow upon you, and if you just have blind faith, it'll all somehow configure and show up. I'm not saying that, quote, blind faith isn't a part of this process, because, and this is a good segue to the next point, and perhaps our final point of the night, we'll see. But that is that, and this is something I saw happen several times for me this week, is the universal energy will always top your best ideas with something better. So one of the reasons why you want to stay in an active state of allowance is we get very attached to our idea, because we're taught especially from the old-fashioned visualization technique, how they're very focused on what we want. And we should get like every doorknob in the house and what the countertops are going to look like and every window. And so now we should experience it with all of our being and all this emotion and all this stuff. And what that does is if you're not careful, it creates attachment, right? It creates this white-knuckled attachment. You get so emotional that you start to get anxious. It's one thing to be sending emotion towards something, like because it's sending frequency, a higher rate of frequency towards a desire. So that's one thing. That's what they really mean. But what it was translated as, in kind of like the telephone conversation where it's just like so many people start teaching it and everybody's teaching it out of context. And depending on the practitioner, they're only going to give you a certain amount for a certain amount of money, then teach you a little bit more for more money, this kind of thing. So you're never really getting the whole thing. What they don't really explain is that whole emotional thing is getting emotional about what your vision is. Doesn't really have to do with more than just keeping the frequencies in a forward momentum and keeping your frequency in vibrational harmony with what you're desiring. Because if you're sitting without it, it's a totally different frequency than if you're sitting with it. And if you don't align the frequency to it being there, it can never come. So you have to, that's where that act as if thing came from. And, act as if you have it already. Let your emotions soar. But from a mental mind perspective, when we start to, just take things out of context and try to be emotional about an idea that we have or something that we want, and we get ourselves all involved, we go into a backwards parallel. We start forward, but then all of a sudden we flip a switch, because the minute you start to feel anxious, how's this going to happen now? When can it happen? When am I going to get it? What? How? Okay, I didn't see it happen for somebody else. See what you're doing? You start to immediately throw yourself backwards in the frequency. You start to compare and compete. Well, so-and-so got it faster than me. Well, how long did it take her? Then that must mean it'll take me that long. Oh, I wonder if I could beat her. I wonder if I could do it faster than her. If I do it faster than her, then, that will be even better. How? How is it going to be even better? Oh, I did it faster than my sister. Oh, she's behind me now. Okay, well, that's great. But what's that doing to your frequency? So what? You might be a little bit faster than your sister, but I'm telling you, when you're thinking like that, you are jamming your frequency up, and you're just setting boulders in your way. And that's what happens when people, they think they're going along. It's like, oh, it's going along so good, and then, bam, I hit a wall. Oh, something horrible happened. Oh, I can't believe it. Just when I thought I was going to get it, it just all fell apart. Why? Because you kept dropping boulders in your frequency because you're going from the wrong intention. Okay? So I want you to really think over, to give yourself some time to think about these concepts and to think about what it means to be in an active state of allowance. In your life, what are you doing? What's really important to you? And are you in a state of holding on, holding your breath, hoping it's going to work out? And people think they're safer that way. It's really odd. I guess it's not that odd because we're taught, first there's two things we're taught. One is prepare for the worst, hope for the best. When you think about prepare for the worst, but hope for the best, which one has a stronger vibration on it? I'm not saying a more positive vibration, but a stronger pull. Prepare for the worst, hope for the best. Let's hope for the best, but prepare for the worst. The strongest frequency is on the prepare for the worst. So where do you think that frequency priority is? It's going to bringing the worst. Hoping for the best is purgatory because you put yourself in a hope, but there's no expectancy on that. There's no allowance on that. It's kind of like this, but you can't really split your frequency all that much. So what you're really doing is saying, I'm going to hope for the best, and I'm going to prepare for the worst. Well, the chain is always as strong as its weakest link. In this case, the chain is as strong as the strongest frequency. So the strongest frequency is in the expectation of the worst, because that's what you're preparing for, and you're hoping for the best, which then is a weaker frequency, so the stronger frequency wins. And you'll more than likely have more of what you would consider to be a negative experience than the positive. So now I'm not saying that, if you're in a place where there's lots of weather, earthquake, hurricane, you always want to be prepared. But you can prepare for the best by preparing. You figure out, okay, all the worst case scenarios of, storms and what they can do, and you have contingency plan. With each piece of that plan, you feel a sense of relief because if it happens, you know what you'll do. So you focus instead not on it's all going to happen to us, which happens to a lot of people when they start to prepare, they get really anxious. You say, no, I feel relieved because we have a plan that if this does happen, an act of God, situations that are beyond our, active control, or situations, these types of things, acts of God, I'm prepared in that I know what to do. And if I know what to do and I've done the best I can in my due diligence and preparation, then I will have a sense of relief, and then I can allow the rest of my life to flow because I know that if anything does go down, I'm ready to the best of my ability, right? That's progressive frequency. So, yes, prepare for emergencies for sure. Have your insurances and different things, and even in regards to relationships and all these different things, you want to be alert. You want to be aware. You want to be diligent, but you don't want to nickel and dime yourself into a backwards frequency. Okay, so I'm just gonna. I don't see any questions on the board tonight, but I'm just gonna give it a couple of minutes. If you want to call in and ask a question, the number is 347-215-9485. So that's 347-215-9485, and I'm going to talk for about 5 more minutes. And if we don't have questions, then we'll just wrap the show for today. I've had a really long day, and my throat is kind of dry, so I will go ahead and follow the energy of that one and give you a couple of minutes if somebody wants to call in. But with all this being said, what kind of results can you have? What can you expect when you invest time in this type of process? And what you can expect is a much lighter sense of ease and lots of, and this is going to sound kind of childish, but magical surprises. And I really mean that. It is so amazing to see, if you give this a chance, how the universe and God and the powers that be, the God of your understanding. I used to love this Trivedi, this guy who used to be on my shows. He always said, he was East Indian, he'd always say, the God of your understanding, and I just thought that was so perfect. So anyway, you have the God of your understanding will always top your best laid plans. If you stay in this type of forward motion, what you're presenting to the grid is willingness. Okay, so this is a great word for your energetic vocabulary. Willingness. Okay? You want to, and by staying in a state of active allowance, you're saying, I'm willing, and here's my best idea. And you can literally say in your prayer work and your alignment work, you just say, okay, your conversations with your angels, God, whoever, say, listen, and you can be just as colloquial about it. You say, listen, you know what? This is my best idea. This is as far as my little imagination engine can go. This looks amazing to me. I'm excited about this. Controlling about that. I was like, don't top it. Okay? I don't need you to top anything. Just do what I want. Okay? Just get it. Look, this is good. We're good. This is good enough. Give me my thing. But I've learned, especially over the last couple of weeks, that when I gave that up and I was willing to, just test it out for a week and say, you know what, I'm not going to be attached to anything. I'm just going to allow. And not allow in the sense of patience. I'm just going to allow in the sense of show me what you got. And you can literally say that. Just start your day off with show me what you got. Show me the best that you have on the plate for today. Show me your best specials of the day, like you're going to a restaurant. And then see what happens. You give that a try for a week. I'm telling you, life. You want your life to change? Don't sit there with your hands folded, having this faith, God knows what, looking up at the sky, hoping that somebody dropping down, talking to all your dead relatives, and he's my angel now, he's gonna help me. Oh, maybe this is my mother. Was she in the room with me? I had somebody call me, Mari, was my mother really in the room with me? I don't know. I guess if you smelled her or you felt her, of course, yeah, there she is. Just because they don't have a body doesn't mean they're not around. But but when they call me out of context and just ask me random things like, is there a curse on me? Was that my mother? This kind of thing. I know it's not connecting to anything. So then what's the point of investing in explaining it, Because if they're not going to connect it to something, like if I say, okay, yeah, you have a curse on you. Oh, my God, I knew it. What does it do? Then they just get pissed off and say, who put the curse on me? When did they put the curse on me? What kind of curse was it? How do I get it off? Not what's my frequency? What is that I desire? How can I get the energy to work with me? How can I configure this on the grid? How can, there's nothing empowering about it. So why should I even address it? I tell them, you know what, there's people who specialize in that. I'm not one of those people. You go find one of those people who specialize in the curses because it's not my thing. When you're ready to fully invest in a full-blown, educational frequency education or however you want to say it, then give me a ring. I've got a program for that, But so don't get yourself, especially if you're in the business, like I am, if you're in, because a lot of you listening to this thing are light workers, light leaders, you're in the business. Don't get yourself caught up in that. Those one-offs can go. They find the psychic on tarot.com. They do their thing. They find out they're not going to listen anyway. Just move on. Go to the next thing. And they'll be fine. Put them in white light. Okay, they're fine, and they're going to be off on some other tier anyway in 20 minutes, so it's not going to matter. You don't want to overinvest. But for those of you who do, give this a try, and once you, instead of getting into patience, that word patience, get into permission. And give you permission to show me your best thing. What's your specials for today? Okay? All right. Well, I don't see any questions, so I think we are going to end for today. Like I said, if you like that last spot in the for our Summit by the Sea here in La Jolla, please reach out to me at support@ahamomentsinc.com. And also keep your eye on your inbox for our new class called Second Chances. If you really like this work, we're going to really go deep. It'll be a 4-week class, and I always channel them, so we never quite know what's going to come up. I'll have a basic outline when I send out the email, but just know that it will be customized to whoever's in the group and whatever the guides want us to know for the time. And that's it. So we will end with my motto, which is, you truly can have exactly what you want. You absolutely deserve it too. And in this new energy, anything is possible. Take care, everybody. Have a great night.